Okay, everyone, welcome. It is 9:30 as Sergeant of Arms to the Order of Smedley. I'm calling this meeting to order. I would now like to invite our president, Lorianne Callender.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that warm introduction and bringing us on time. I'd like for everybody to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand where you are. Oh, oops. Is that right? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did I get it right?
They also do the Canadian, since we have quite a few Canadians today.
Oh, Canada, oh, Canada, I stand on bended knee. Or something like that.
I don't even know that one.
You obviously don't go to hockey games. It is a nature of hockey games that when we play Canadians that we get to do both. What are they called? The songs of the country? National anthems. That's it. Well, I want to welcome everybody for coming from wherever you are in your homes, scattered around Florida, around the country, and apparently around our continent. So thank you for coming. We have an exciting schedule planned for you. These past few meetings and a couple of meetings coming up, the Order of Smedley has asked our displaced keynote speakers from District 48 to come and present what they were going to do at the workshop or to tailor it to their specific needs for our Smedley meetings. Today, we are awesomely excited to welcome Freddie Dogterm to today's meeting. Did I get that right? Close, something like that. Similar. It's funny, I see your name, but I also call my daughter my dogter, so that I see your name as like Dogterm. It's kind of weird. Anyway, we welcome you to today's meeting. Before we get started, I would like to introduce our Toastmaster of the day who will run us through the agenda. I will put a link to the agenda in the chat box so you can go out and download that from the Order of Smedley website. So that will happen in just a moment. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Parveen Bahora.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I see we have a new few faces here, and I would like to call on them. Freddie is our speaker. We're going to hear from her, and she is in sunny Canada. No. Then we also have, going down my screen, we have Kai, our speaker from last time. Kai, do you want to introduce yourself?
I should say no. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back. I had the privilege of being your guest presenter at your last meeting. I'm here in the Tampa area, and Freddie is a fellow accredited speaker, and we've never met, so it was an opportunity for me to see Freddie present, and so I thought I would join you this morning.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Next, we have, going down my screen, we have Bruce.
Hello. Well, to start my introduction, I've been a member of Toastmasters for a year. I originally joined in District 93 in South Korea, and this is my first time attending a meeting on the American continent. So I'm really excited to be here and see what happens.
Okay, well, welcome.
Welcome.
Next, I have Jill Burnell.
Good morning, everybody. I am a member of Dynamically Speaking Toastmasters in Lethbridge, Alberta. Freddie is our wonderful president. And when she sent out the information about this meeting, I thought, wow, this would be really cool and exciting to be able to participate in a Toastmasters meeting that is not at home for me. So I'm really excited. And thank
Okay.
you for having me.
Well, welcome. Next, we have James Doherty. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah, that was really good. Good morning, everyone. I'm James. I'm a member of the Downtown St. Pete Toastmasters here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I've been a guest of the Order of Smedley before in person at the TLI back in Clearwater a couple months ago. And I saw this was happening, so I was excited to check it out. Nice to see you.
Welcome. Next, I see familiar face Virginia Papadopoulos.
Hello, everyone. I'm Virginia Papadopoulos. I've been a Toastmaster for 4 years, 4 fabulous years. I am thrilled to bits to be with all of you today, and I'm looking forward to a delightful, dynamic meeting. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Next, in my screen, I have Susan. You're on mute, Susan.
Yes, good day, everybody. I've been in Toastmasters for almost 11 years, but this is the first year I'm actually not a Toastmaster because out in California, there's quite a bit of change that a lot of people are getting out. I don't know about some of your clubs, but I'm Susan Friesen and I'm delighted to be here. I will be back in somewhere. Anyway, I came across one of your fellow Toastmasters online and he invited me to your meeting. His name is Jan Paul. Where are you?
Oh.
Anyway, he invited me here and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, well, welcome, Susan. John Paul is from New York and he is one of our virtual members. And that means that he logs in via Zoom. So we are a hybrid club that meets in person as well as virtually. And we have members that only do virtual online. And a lot of our members sometimes take advantage of joining in remotely. During this COVID-19 pandemic, we all are virtual and we all have that technology and we're virtualing in. But it is nice to meet in person, but we do have a lot of virtual members and you're more than welcome to consider that if you would like. So welcome. Okay, next we have Joseph. You're on mute, Joseph.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Joseph Auro. I'm actually calling from Canada. I'm a guest of Freddie Doctrim. She's also a guest there. And just wanted to have a good feel of what's going on there. And this was a good opportunity. Thank you very much.
Well, welcome, Joseph. With that, I am going to introduce our lovely tag team now. We have an counter, Zan Nancy. Next, we have Zan is going to be counting our ahs. Next, we have a grammarian, Beverly Plant. Beverly, what is our word of the day?
Okay, word of the day is going to be fascinating. I find attending a Toastmasters meeting online very fascinating.
Fascinating. Thank you very much, Beverly. And when anyone says the word of the day, we do snaps, virtual snaps or real snaps. Next, I have the timer, which is Jeanette. Jeanette, you have your timing cards. And we'll be doing table topics. And when you have table topics, just make sure you look at Jeanette for the timing. And then we have a general evaluator, Jean May. And we have table topics evaluator. So at the Order of Smedley, when we do table topics, which we'll be doing with this open house, after each table topic, we have a table topics evaluator. So it's very similar to how you would be doing table topics in a competition. The evaluator will be evaluating you right away. So that's something that we do as an advanced club. Today we have one speaker. When we have speakers, a speaker from the members, we actually do the evaluation right away. We also do our round robin. So at the Order of Smedley, we're trying to elevate your speaking career, and many members are trying to professionally speak. So we're doing that evaluation and feedback right away. I see one other guest that has joined. Is it Tepe? Welcome. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello all, I'm joining from Tokyo, Japan. I'm a friend of Zane, and he came to visit us in December in Tokyo, and then he just attended our meeting. So I am joining you now.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
from
Welcome.
Tokyo.
Welcome to
Hello.
our lovely meeting. Did everyone get the link for the chat? I mean, for the agenda. The agenda link is in the chat, and you can go to the OR website for the Order of Smedley.
Yeah, just
Okay.
re-added it so to Pi could have it as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, as you know, for our district conference was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that left our keynotes as displaced, as we like to call them. Last week we had Kai, and thank you, Kai, for doing that presentation. And this week we have Freddie Doctrum. Freddie is going to be doing a presentation that she would have been done at our district spring conference. The distinguished Toastmaster Freddie is one of the 88 accredited speakers. She is one of 14 women and 12 Canadians to achieve this distinction. She joined Toastmasters 18 years ago and currently is a paid professional speaker who develops and practices her skills. The title of the speech is The Making of a Marvelous Mentor. A marvelous mentor can make life-changing differences for those fortunate enough to be connected with them. The key to building depth and strength in your clubs is mentorship. The key to building your skills is to be a mentor. Pathways has a mentor module, but well before that, we need to develop our mentoring skills. Freddie will share some of her experiences and her ideas. Freddie Doctrum, The Making of a Marvelous Mentor. Thank you.
Thank you, Parveen. So by quick, happy hands, how many of you have ever had a mentor? Okay. How many of you have a mentor right now in Toastmasters? Okay. I'm going to be sharing with you some thoughts and ideas that I have about mentorship. I'm going to be sharing some of my life experiences with mentoring and being a mentor. And I invite you to ask questions, but please put them in the chat box. And I think it's Laureen is going to be moderating that. And then we will be able to answer the questions afterwards, if that's okay with folks. All right. Just a minute here. You know, here's the cool thing about technology. It is always evil, and you can be guaranteed that, dang it, you can be guaranteed that it will let you down. Okay, there we go. Okay, so over the next 20 minutes, what I'm going to do is just go through some slides. I'm going to be speaking over them and just sharing with you some of my thoughts about who needs a mentor, and then 4 key ingredients of marvelous mentors. And it was one of the people that I mentored that gave me these wonderful 4 keys. So who needs a mentor? I believe that 100% of us need mentors, whether we're a brand new Toastmaster or whether we're an accredited speaker, a distinguished Toastmaster in an advanced club, in a newly chartered club. I believe that we all need a mentor. What it does is helps us to not get into a rut. This is a picture from Pompeii, one of the roads in Pompeii, that was buried by the ash of Mount Vesuvius in, I think it was 74 AD. It was a long time ago. But here in the granite road, you can see a cart track. The rut is so deep, it's 2 inches deep, right into the stone. And what happens to us as Toastmasters or in any element of our life is we can get so habituated that we are making great, big, deep ruts for ourselves. You know that people were in a rut when Pathways came out and everybody went, oh my gosh, that is going to be the end of Toastmasters. It is terrible. It is a disaster. Well, through experience and through getting out of our rut, we have now got to a place where everybody's adopting pathways. This is a screenshot of one of the meetings of our home club in Lethbridge since we've gone purely Zoom. And in this screenshot, there are 3 people who have mentored me. There's one who's my current mentor, and there's 11 individuals that I have been a mentor or am a mentor for. I think that being a mentor gives us the opportunity to truly excel. Now, I'm going to share 4 keys and just some thoughts. See, I didn't always believe this. I didn't always believe that mentorship was as powerful as I now believe it is. I know that as we develop knowledge and experience, we can pass it on to others, and certainly we can be supportive and positive and committed and dependable and caring and respectful. We can be all of these things, but how can we do this in a way that is engaging and powerful? The other thing I discovered about being a mentor, it's like being a leader, and you can only be a great leader if you've got great followers. So how do we as mentors also develop really good mentees? In 2015, I had the privilege of being on the main stage of the International Convention in Las Vegas. There I was, Caesar's Palace, 2,800 Toastmasters from around the world speaking 84 different languages. And there I was, standing in front of the world with my knees knocking, wondering what the heck I was doing. I had prepared for my accredited speaker presentation as well as I knew how, but I hadn't really accessed the powers of mentorship. What I had done is a real classic mistake. The day before, 2 very well-meaning, experienced Toastmasters pulled me aside and said, hey, do you want us to go over your presentation with you and make sure it's really good? And I thought, whoa, you're pretty experienced people, you're accredited speakers. Yeah, I'd love to have your help. So with their assistance, at the last minute, I changed the first 8 minutes of my presentation, where this was a keynote that I had been delivering for about 10 years. It was my signature story. It was my best stuff that I had brought. But at the last minute, I changed the first 8 minutes. Instead of coming out and talking about being one of Canada's first female ice road truckers and driving explosives up and down the Mackenzie Highway, I came out with what turned out to be very lame opening. I was not successful. Was that painful? Yeah. But then I learned a lesson. And one of the people said to me that, you have to be really brave to try it again. And that very day, when I got the call from the TI staff that said, no, you've not been successful, I committed to doing it again. And my new motto became, you have to be brave enough to suck at something new, because we're never good when we first start doing things. So we have to be able to suck at doing something new. So actively seeking a mentor was the new thing for me. Now, I was really fortunate because when I started my professional speaking career, I found a wonderful mentor. I didn't even know women could be professional speakers. In my experience, all professional speakers were, old fat white guys in a suit. And I didn't know that women could do it, but this was something I felt led to do. And I found Florence Littauer. And I attended her classes and her training. She operated class training services. Some of you may be familiar with Florence. She's now 91, retired from speaking, but still a marvelous lady. And through her knowledge and experience, I developed some really good skills for becoming a professional speaker. The skills I learned from her are still skills that I teach today when I'm mentoring new speakers. But I had to find myself a mentor. And this is my mentor, Ron. He's a member of our home club, and he is really an interesting fellow. He's driven, he's experienced, he's knowledgeable, and he will not let me get away with being second best. He was sitting in the audience in 2015, and when I came off the stage, the first thing he said to me was, "Who was that on the stage? It sure wasn't Freddie." I'm going like, "Yeah, Ron, you're kind of right. I kind of muffed it." And so with Ron's assistance, with his mentorship, over the next 2 years, I worked hard, really hard on developing my accredited speaker presentation. But it wasn't just Ron, it was every member of my club. We had one poor unfortunate fellow that came as a guest a few times, and every time he came as a guest, I was giving a piece of my speech as a practice. And I think he thought that we were kind of a wacko group, but then he joined, and now he's brought one of his team members to join as well. So I guess I didn't totally turn him off. But through the mentorship of individuals, through the key mentorship of Ron, in 2017, I was able to achieve my goal. Could I have done it without a mentor? No, I absolutely could not have. And that's where I started to really believe that mentorship is important at every level in every way. This is Alex Ann. She's one of the people that I'm mentoring in our club. She's one of our newest Toastmasters. And you know what our members are like. You know, they have to give that icebreaker speech and they're terrified. Well, Alex Ann was definitely terrified to give her speech, but we had been working on it. And how had the mentorship-mentee relationship developed? Well, like some of the world champions, and I'm sure Kai has this experience as well, as an accredited speaker, lots and lots of people, approach you to be their mentor because they think, well, you've achieved great things, you can help me achieve great things, which is true. But one of the keys of powerful mentorship or being marvelous is you have to match. So the goals and the aspirations of the mentee have to match with the talents and input of the mentor. So there has to be a match. If there isn't a match, then it's incumbent upon us to find a good match for that individual. So Alexandra and I had spent 4 sessions. When she first joined, I spent a session with her, helping her get onto Pathways and on our club website. And then we had 3 practice sessions putting together her icebreaker speech, which was wonderful. She talked about her life with her parents who had a wonderful marriage and the unfortunate passing of her brother. It was a wonderful icebreaker. The response from the club was great, and it really helped her to solidify her skills and give her a launching point to move on. So being supportive and positive is sometimes taking a distant approach as well. This is another one of our club members who came to us from an organization where I had done a 3-hour workshop on doing professional presentations. They liked it so much, the whole group of them joined our club. And she's the one that is still with us. That was pretty fun. She had never done a PowerPoint presentation before as part of a speech. So again, what does a mentor do? You're supportive and positive. If you've got the equipment, you bring the equipment, but you do the practice sessions with them. Now, the mentee's role is to be open to suggestion, but also be brave enough to say, that's a really good suggestion, but it doesn't work for me or my style. You see, we don't want to be poor imitations of each other. So another key is being committed and dependable. This was my other accredited speaker, coach, or mentor. This is Deanne. She is an absolutely delightful lady. She joined Toastmasters the month after I did. I invited her, I knew her from our church, and she came and joined as well. She takes no guff. She's a teacher. She teaches English as a second language, and she is really, really a skilled and dedicated person. When I was competing in speech contests, she would literally travel all over Western Canada with me, drink warm beer out of my suitcase. Well, no, we drank it out of the can, but it was in my suitcase. And she was just absolutely awesome. But here's another thing that a mentor does. They love you enough to want you to really be successful. And a marvelous mentor is one who will tell you, you know, that doesn't work. As part of my accredited speaker presentation, I had what I thought was a brilliant story about my grandmother. I adored my grandmother, and she was really quite an interesting woman. But Deanne had the courage to say, you know, Granny's got to come out of the speech. You know, great story, but it doesn't fit. So with her help and encouragement, I had to gas my granny. That was hard, but she was the one that was committed enough to my success as my mentor to say, you know, you love your granny, but get her out of your speech if you want to be successful. So mentors have to be bold enough to do that. Mentees have to be gracious enough to accept the input and realize that, yeah, you know, maybe the mentor is right. So being caring and respectful. This is Laren, one of the newer members in our club, and she's the one that gave the speech that gave me these 4 keys. So she came up with this recipe, and she called it Fabulous Freddie's Most Treasured Recipes, and did such a cool speech about how my mentorship had helped her. It was very honoring for me, but it made me realize that mentors are so critical at every level, whether it's the accredited speaker, world championship, new Toastmasters, because she came to us with some pretty good skills. She's got a master's degree in leadership and she'd done presentations, but like many of us, she came to Toastmasters to get better. So how do you take good and make it better? Well, you get a mentor. And again, you know, we spent quite a lot of time, and she had some interesting mannerisms that she had no idea she had. And in our club, what we do is we video record every single speech. It is then sent to the member, and if they agree, it is put on our club YouTube channel. So I had been talking to Laren about some of these unfortunate mannerisms that she had, and she just didn't believe it. So I sent her the video and I said, watch here, here, and here. She came back, she says, oh my goodness, you're absolutely right. So with respect, I had to tell her about some of these things that really detracted from her speech. And she appreciated the fact that I cared enough to actually show her. So the caring and respect is on both sides. It was so interesting when Laren was giving this speech because the recipe she made was for a cocktail. And so as she was going along, she actually made a cocktail and gave us, you know, good thumbs up, cheers. So one of the most important elements, I believe, is making it fun. I mean, why are we in Toastmasters? Because Toastmasters is really cool. It is a lot of fun. Is it work? Yes. But anything that we do to get better is worth doing well and worth having fun. Is it fun to lose a speech contest? It can be. It isn't always, but it can be fun. Is it fun to fail dismally in front of 2,800 people? Nope, but it makes for a good story, so then you can make it fun. Is it fun to be invited to district conferences to share your experience and your stories? Yes, it absolutely is. So the power of being a mentor, I believe, is something that we need to have at our fingertips. We need to be courageous enough to reach out to be a mentee. We need to share our knowledge and experience, being positive and supportive. All of us have heard some really terrible speeches, but these are the folks that need us most. Can we be counted on? Absolutely. So what are some of the elements that make marvelous mentors? I believe that it's that science and gift of being present, taking our whole self to the game every time we show up. So Madam Toastmaster, I will wrap it there and be more than happy to entertain questions. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you, Freddie. So I'll give you a little fist bump here. And do we have any questions? If you do, mute it up. You can mute and you can ask the questions. I don't see any in the chat box, Freddie.
I have a question.
Okay, Bruce.
You mentioned a lot of qualities about successful mentors. I was wondering, what is your opinion? What makes a great mentee?
In my opinion, and that's what I'm doing, I'm sharing my opinion. I think that a great mentee is, first of all, open to seeking improvement, believes in their mentor and knows that their mentor has their best interest at heart, and is willing to do the work and make the changes. One of the very first conversations I have, if I'm accepting somebody as a mentee, is I say, I will work terrifically hard to help you achieve your goals, but I will not work harder than you. So I will work as hard as you. And you know, if you appear not to be working hard, or you know, things, we'll have a conversation about ending our relationship. So, you know, being open to change, having goals and wanting to learn, that's powerful.
Okay, so there's some questions coming in through the chat.
Okay.
How did you join Toastmasters?
I was already a professional speaker. I was already getting paid to speak. And I decided to join Toastmasters for two reasons. Number one, I wanted more tools in my toolbox. Toastmasters' style of speaking is just one style. There's other styles of speaking, and sometimes Toastmasters think, no, this is the end all be all. Well, it's not. And so I wanted more tools in my toolbox, because one of my sayings is, if all you have is a hammer, every problem is a nail. And so I wanted more tools in my toolbox. Secondly, I wanted to get good quality evaluation and feedback, because I bring my professional presentations, I bring pieces of them as part of my project speeches and get good feedback on them. And sometimes the feedback is, whoa, that really sucks. Great. I'd rather have Toastmasters tell me than a paying audience.
Thank you. I know several members of Smedley do the same thing, Freddie, so thank you.
Yep.
Another question, if a member wants you to implement changes that you do not agree with, any tips on letting them down gently?
Well, I think that's really one of the keys, is that, you know, somebody can give you suggestions or ideas from their perspective, but you do not have to implement them. That is what happened in 2015. That was the reason that I failed at my first go at the accredited speaker, because here's what was going on in my mind. I'm thinking, I really respect these people, and if they're giving me this kind of feedback, I better implement it. Otherwise, I will seem to be uncoachable. And so I was really torn. I was kind of intimidated. And I learned right there and then that, you know, whether it's gassing your granny or, you know, other changes, it has to work for you. It's the same as style. We each have our own mannerisms and our ways of moving and our own speaking style. If somebody comes along with a suggestion, first thing I do is I consider it. I think about it and go like, would that work for me? And if it doesn't, I say, you know, that's a really great idea. I can't see how I can implement it right now, but I do appreciate you taking the time and sharing your ideas with me.
Thank you. I think a lot of people can relate to that issue.
Yeah.
There's another question about, have you ever come across a situation when you've had to face a cultural divide, and how did you cross that bridge?
Oh, absolutely. Now, are you I'm wondering if in a Toastmaster or just in a life situation?
I don't know, does the questioner want to elaborate then?
I mean, the great thing let me answer it from a Toastmaster perspective. That's the wonderful thing about Toastmasters, 144 countries. Look at all the wonderful cultures. Even today on our Zoom call, we've got 3 or maybe 4 countries. How wonderful is that? The key is to be honoring and respectful of all perspectives. Are there people on the planet that have different ideas than me? Sure, I would hope so. That's how we have diversity. Do I sometimes say things that other people might misinterpret or choose to take offense? Yeah, that does happen. But I think that's where we have to have the open heart, the open spirit, and the graciousness to appreciate that nobody is purposely setting out to hurt or offend. And I think in the Toastmaster world, there's a lot of that. In the outside of Toastmaster world, it's, again, you have to be very culturally sensitive. When I was living in the Arctic, so I lived 450 miles north of the Arctic Circle, and Caucasians were in the minority. There was the Inuit people and there was some Indian tribes there. So, and being a woman was kind of unusual, and being a truck driver on the ice road was extremely unusual. And so there was all sorts of intercultural for Caucasians, as well as, you know, intercultural between the First Nations groups. So one has to be sensitive and careful, careful with language. Sometimes our words that we might use every day in other cultures are offensive. For example, I had this lesson. I was doing a presentation and there was a lady from New Zealand in the audience. And I was talking about sitting on my fanny, which was my bum, which I was trying to find a polite word. And I thought, well, fanny's pretty inoffensive. Well, not in New Zealand. It's horrendously offensive. That's one of the worst things you can say. Lesson learned. So sometimes, you know, you stumble along and you do make mistakes. Thank you, Jeanette.
There's another one that says, have you been on the Ice Road Trucker Show?
No, they didn't even have TV when I was a truck. I was driving 42 years ago. I was, you know, in my 20s, and no, there were no TV shows. In fact, at that time in the Arctic, we only had 4 hours of television a day. And it was in 4 languages. It was in English, French, Inuvialuit, and Inuktitut. And so it wasn't even worth watching. But no, I would love to. I could have been Lisa. You know, that would have been really great. Any other questions?
Any live questions? I don't see any other questions.
Okay.
So Freddie, before you leave, how can you give us one tip or trick for as a Toastmaster that you've learned that we can take home as a pearl?
Oh, I'm going to give you 2. 1 and a bonus. So for table topics, always, always, always be aware of current events and always be playing table topics in your mind. If you're watching a TV show, if you're driving in your car, if you're in a conversation, always be playing it in your mind. And at a meeting, if somebody else is responding, always think about how you would do it so that when you're called, you sound absolutely prepared and brilliant. Secondly, always have a speech in your hip pocket. Always work 1 or 2 projects ahead, because sometimes a speaker cancels or there's another opportunity or whatever, and you're Johnny on the spot and you're able to fill in. So there's my 2 terrific Toastmaster tips, little alliteration. And thank you so much for inviting me. I was looking forward to being in Florida next week, but maybe next year.
Well, thank you very much. I know it's very unfortunate because of the COVID, and we would have been happy to have you. You are one of the people that we spoke to, and we've been communicating a lot, and it's very unfortunate. But hopefully, once this is over, we will go back to live events in the future. Thank you.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
I'll do that. And next is our table topics portion of the meeting. And I'm going to turn that over to Lorianne Callender, our table topics master for today.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I'm excited to have everybody here, and we're going to all get to play table topics together, depending on time. Our promise for this open house is to be done by 10:30. At the order of Smedley, we have our table topics, and afterwards we have an evaluator quickly evaluate based on how that table topic would stand up in a contest situation. So we're always practicing to compete, because at Smedley we're all very competitive. So we love to get better against ourselves and with each other for the sheer fun of it. So today, Kelly will be sharpening our saws today with her quick 30 to 45 second evaluation on each table topic. So here we go. First up on the hot seat, Zan. As I unmute you, as he tries to hide under the camera angle. Zan, I noticed you rose your hand earlier when Freddie asked us if we had a mentor or not, and you rose your hand. Tell us about your mentor and how they influenced you.
The issue with your question is that I have had several mentors, and I am very grateful for all of them. So allow me to demonstrate the overall abilities that they have. Every single one of my mentors has pushed me, and I'm very grateful for that. One of them who I'm going to call out, his name is Sam. Sam has, helped me get my business going. And the point that he always told me, stay focused on what you're doing, because when you stay focused, you will get to where you want to go. I would also add from another mentor, always think about your end result. What is it that you want to do? And a third thing that I would add in there from one of my mentors in my MBA program, Krish, he said, Zan, keep it simple, don't overcomplicate things. When you overcomplicate, you make it too hard on yourself. That is what mentorship has done for me to help keep it simple, keep myself focused, and I'm very grateful for everything that my mentors have done for me.
Thank you. Kelly.
Okay, I must have had connectivity issues because I lost Zan for the very tail end of what he said. I apologize for that. That was weird. I had you guys and then you were gone. What I liked about what he said is Zan told us that he had several mentors, and he went on to give us specific examples of his mentors. I missed the end, so I can only assume, knowing how he usually speaks, that he summed everything up like he should have. But I did like how he singled out three, I assume, different mentors and told us what they specifically did for him. And I think that's the best way to handle a table topic situation, is to give specific examples and summarize at the end.
All right, great. Thank you, Kelly. I'll add to that, Zan, real quickly. In a contest environment, don't start off with a negative. You complained about the question. So don't start off in a contest environment with a negative. Start off with a positive. So just adding that. Beverly, you okay on timing? I didn't see a green card come up. You okay there, sweetie?
It's Jeanette.
No, it's Jeanette.
Oh, Jeanette's timing. Oh, okay. Sorry, I got it wrong. I'm sorry. Usually Beverly's our timer. She's like our in-house permanent timer. Jeanette, you guys switch roles on me. Okay. All right, and you're doing the background, right? Is that what you're doing? Okay. All right, next up. God, I hope I get this name correctly. Tapai Aikita-san? Did I get that right? Okay. All right. Okay, you got yourself. Where are you? You moved
Yes.
up. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I can hear you. Here you go. What does success look like to you? Tapai, what does success look like to you?
Well, it's look at me. The success. No, I'm kidding. Well, success is just inner peace. Even at the COVID-19 situations, and then everywhere it's become so chaotic, and that you are anxious about your job and anxious about your financial situations. But if whatever happened in the inner here is like a peaceful, calm, whatever happened in around, that means success to me. But you want to know I'm success? I success right now? No, I worry about next month pay. I'm running my own company, and all my work this month, next month, all canceled. And as you knew, the Japan situations, infectious cases are increasing, everything shut down, and my medical professional friend couldn't go home, and all chaotic. So inside here, still worry about lots of things, but I try to feel peaceful. So for me, success is not about the money or have a big house. Success is just the inner peaceful mindset. That's for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kelly, go ahead.
I liked how you opened with a joke, personally. Also, you got our attention by opening with the joke. You told us what success was, but you also demonstrated how you were struggling with success. So you gave us a lot of good information in a short period of time. You used your hand gestures, which are hard to do on a video, but you were able to do that successfully. And you were emotional with your voice. So you were able to capture all of our attention, which again is hard to do in a short period of time. Overall, I think you did a really great job, and I'm thrilled that you joined us from Japan. I think that's fabulous.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, next up, Jean. All right, Jean. What do you want to be different in 3 to 5 years? What do you want to be different in 3 to 5 years? Jean May.
Madam Toastmaster, or Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Oh, there's so many things going through my head right now. First and foremost, I want to be out of this house. So let's hope COVID is a thing of the past and there will be a cure and we won't have to worry about this craziness ever again, but I don't think that'll be the case. So for me personally, I will go there. Here's where I'd like to be in 3 to 5 years. I would like to be delivering speeches at the caliber that we've seen from Kai last week and Freddie this week. That would make me personally happy. That would be one step closer for me in my retirement plan. My goal in the next 7 years is to retire at the very young age of 57 years old. I am on a mission. Unfortunately, COVID has caused a little bit of a deterrence in that. I refuse to look at my 401k statement. I just politely deleted it because I did not want to know how painful that was going to be. And I think as I look holistically as our country, I would love to see us just be in a more peaceful place. I think that we don't have the wars and the craziness that we've had in the past, so that's a nice thing that's happening. But I think the internal fighting in our political system is crazy, and I just don't think we as individuals, American citizens, know who to believe, who to go to as that one truth of source. And I'd like to see there be a place for us to make that happen. So again, I would like to see COVID be gone and no diseases. I'd like to see Gene public speaking on his way to retirement and a successful public speaking career. And I'd like to see world peace. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Awesome. Thank you. Kelly.
Jean, you addressed everyone when you started your table topics conversation. That was fantastic. You gave us specific goals for yourself by answering the question, but you also gave us goals for all of us over this span of your time, which I liked how you answered the question. You took it and you gave it personal and you gave it community at large, which was great. I really enjoyed how you answered it in that regards. And you gave us a summary and you thanked us at the end. Fantastic.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Good, all good advice. We got one more for you to work on. Our final table topic for today, which guest am I going to pick on? Virginia Papadopoulos. She goes, hey, that's my name. All right, Virginia. What's the best advice you've ever received? What's the best advice you've ever received, Virginia Papadopoulos?
Lorianne, thank you. fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. The best advice that I've received is to stay silent. Many people say silence is golden. I am like a wet chihuahua. I never know when to shut up. I never know when to twist it and keep it closed. And there are days when I just end up with 2 size 11 shoes in my mouth. My father said, if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything. It's often better to listen than to speak first. So in my estimation, I've learned that it is always best listen, think, then reply. Silence is golden, but in my case, it's a treasure. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Virginia. That was awesome. Kelly.
Virginia, you always give awesome table topics. She really does. She's a champion. I loved your opening. You addressed everybody, but you opened with the joke. You continued with the laughter. You kept everybody entertained while you answered the question. So that was phenomenal. Your enthusiasm. It's hard, in my opinion. I find it hard when you're on the Zoom call to get the enthusiasm and to get the interaction with the audience. But I felt you were able to do that very well. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Awesome job, Kelly. Awesome job, participants in table topics. And Madam Toastmaster, I turn it back over to you.
The next portion of our meeting is our evaluation portion, and I'm going to send it over to Jean May, our general evaluator for today.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Very glad to be back with you as General Evaluator. We will go to our functionary reports, and I will start with our timer, Jeanette Sweeney.
Thank you, Jean. So Freddie spoke for 18 minutes for her 20-minute conversation piece, and then exactly 10 minutes for your Q&A section. So that was awesome. Our table topics, Zane, talking about his mentor, spoke 122. Tepe, for his success, spoke 135. Jean, for his future, spoke 138. And Virginia, about best advice, spoke for 52 seconds. And that concludes my timer's report.
Thank you, Jeanette. And we'll move to our odd counter with Zan.
This was a pretty clean meeting. I have 2 specific instances that I want to call out. Freddie, I noticed when you were talking about changing your introduction, you had one double clutch. The only other point I noticed from an counter perspective, Ikeda-san, you had one in your table topic, but that was about it. Everyone else I noticed came back clean, so thank you.
Thank you, Zan. And next, our grammarian, Beverly.
Everyone was clean today. So easy job, such an easy job to do when everyone does it right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Beverly, for that fascinating report. And now we will go to me for the overall evaluation of the meeting. We started on time. I think the engagement, the enthusiasm, the attention was absolutely fantastic. A great introduction of the guest in the beginning, asking them to give us feedback, which I think was absolutely fantastic. I would say, to add to Freddie's comments on mentoring, I had a friend in the past that used the word, if I had spinach in my teeth, would you want someone to tell you or tell me, right? And so the same thing with kind of that feedback that you receive to get better. Sometimes it's painful, but you really want to know it from that standpoint. So definitely thank you, Freddie. And then on your table topic suggestion, the one that I would add to everything that you said is as you're driving down the road or stuck in traffic and something comes across the radio, go right then and practice table topics, delivering it based upon what you just heard on the radio or the song or anything like that, just to give you those tips to get better at table topics. And that was my overall evaluation of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster, I will turn the meeting back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. and I am the Toastmaster today, and we have the President's Report coming up, and so I'm going to let the President Lorianne Callender conclude the next portion of our meeting, including the guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Parveen. Really appreciate that. I want to thank everybody for coming to our open house. We've got some announcements and some things to do, but before we get to our guest comments, first I want to talk about the time that we're in right now. In Toastmaster world, our Beat the Clock was extended by a month, so we got 1 week left in our Beat the Clock program, which for the Order of Smedley, no pressure to our online guests, but we need one more member in our club to make our goals. So if all of you guests sitting out there, let me go into my sales pitch real quick. Just shamelessly plugging our club. You did know you were coming to an open house, and we used a sexy keynote to bring you all in. Like a good lure on a hook. The Order of Smedley is chartered as an advanced hybrid club. What does that mean? First, in order to join our club, you need to have a CCCL or a Pathways Level 2 to join, which means, as you noticed earlier, we took the training wheels off of Toastmastering. We don't explain what Toastmasters is or who we are, or why we're here, what roles we're playing. We jump into the deep end in both feet and we get work done. That's the purpose of the Order of Smedley, is to get work done. How do we do this and what is our focus? We focus on professional speaking environments. We prefer to focus on the paid professional speaking environments and what's involved there. And the reason that's unique to our club is because that also requires a high level of, Freddie talked about it as mentoring. We look at it as honest evaluations. As you noticed from Kelly, we're not getting fluffy evaluations. We're getting the kind that sharpen our saws and help us actually get better. And we do this in all of our speaking. As you saw, if we had speakers, they would have had a good evaluation by the evaluator, as well as 100% participation in a round robin. So there's no hiding in our club. Everybody has to give an observation back to the speaker on how well that speech would have been in a public speaking environment, not just entertaining our fellow club members. So there's a big difference in what we focus on. When we're in our normal club setting, the hybrid part of our club that we're chartered for is both in-room and online. So we usually have 8 to 20 people in our room, and then we have another 8 to 20 visiting online. That requires an immense investment in both knowledge, skill, and technology to connect an in-room world with an online world. It's not as easy as jumping into a Zoom meeting with your phone. There's a lot of skill involved that helps us grow when we're going to other speaking environments to understand the technology and what's going on, because if we're on a stage, as we saw pictures of Freddie, there's technology involved, and it's helpful not to be ashamed of how it works. Therefore, at the Order of Smedley, in-room participants will have a choice between a lavalier microphone as well as a handheld microphone. Well, one, because if we didn't use those, our online people wouldn't be able to hear those in the room. But also to give us practice, because there are impacts of using a lavalier and using a handheld. And if you know how to use them like a pro, and learning how to get intimate with your microphone and learn how to do that really, really well, then your message can resonate with the audience since they don't have to struggle to hear you. So we practice that a lot at the Order of Smedley, and then we get feedback on that. So there's a lot of things that make the Order of Smedley different than other advanced clubs or hybrid clubs, especially for those that are seeking to speak and take their voice to a much larger stage. So those are some of the key benefits of the Order of Smedley. We also have a paid Zoom account, which means all the members get to use it at their own discretion whenever they feel like it. So that's another benefit as a benefit for membership. So I just want to put that out there. We need one more member by April 30th. So I hope that new member is sitting out there in our audience. At the end of this, Beverly has a list of all of your email addresses. She will be sending you the membership packet so you can turn that into her. Beverly is also our VP of membership. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and go around robin through my Brady Bunch tiles with our guests, and we're just going to go in the order of how I see them. Virginia, you're up in my circle of squares.
Yes.
Share with us your comments, your experience for today's meeting.
Oh, wow. Where else can you go? Not leave your house, but get enjoyment and Toastmaster fun from all over the world. Not to mention a wonderful evaluation and absolutely fabulous functionaries. And of course, our guest speaker, it was an honor to listen to her today. Thank you.
Thank you. James.
I had a lot of fun, just like I did last time. It was really lovely to watch an accredited speaker because I know it's extremely hard to achieve. So I always enjoy watching accredited speakers. And I love how you guys do short evaluations for table topics immediately after, because that can be a very overlooked portion of a table topics meeting because you never know if you're doing things right or wrong. So I always had fun as usual, and maybe I'm considering being that last member. We'll see.
That'd be awesome. Thank you. Kai, you're next.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with your club once again. I have to commend the club as a whole. I've seen a number of advanced clubs, and unfortunately, they look a lot like a regular club. And so I always think, well, what is it you're offering that's different? But I'm a big believer in round robin evaluations, which you do, and then the fact that you just dive right into it. When I've co-founded and ran an advanced club, that's essentially what we did. And a lot of people couldn't handle it, which said to me, yeah, you really need to stretch your skills. So I really, you know, when I had the invitation, you said you were an advanced club, I wasn't sure what to expect. But I was delighted to see what you're doing with it, and it's been a pleasure to be have been a guest both times.
Thank you. And to dovetail on what you said, giving an evaluation in round robin style, the reason we make it 100% participation is because it's very hard sometimes to give that, and it stretches your skill as a participant to give that unique observation. And so it not only helps the speaker, but it stretches the unique person as well. All right, Susan, you're up.
Yes, good afternoon. I think it's getting near there in California. I enjoyed, Freddie, very much that you have a keynote speaker that you've invited from Canada and all the different international representatives. I think that Freddie has a lot of guts. Why? Look at this lady. She's an ice trucker, and I do watch that show. I'm from originally, I lived 4 years in Alaska, and my ex-husband used to go north of the Arctic Circle also, and I've had many Inuit live here. So I like the fact that you've already been internationally exposed from 45 years ago, that you're vulnerable. I like that you're vulnerable, that you tried right before giving a speech to change it up. And I think that's what we all need to do, is change our focus sometimes. It makes us stronger. So even if you fail, you don't. And I like the Toastmaster question about success. Made me really mull it over. Am I successful? Yes, I am. I raised heart transplant kids, and I am successful. I got no money, so I'm a little bit in the poverty level now. But I feel very happy, and like the other man said, I'm happy, and that I do feel successful. I've done what I should in this life. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Just as a reminder to you, never have I seen a U-Haul truck attached to a hearse casket at a funeral. Just letting you know. Joseph, you're up. Oh, hold on. We're fighting each other here. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I would just like to say how grateful we are for the opportunity to join you at this meeting. There's always something to learn from individuals, and given that now we are operating this function from the US, I'm in Canada. So it gives me another taste to Toastmasters. I've been to the Advanced Club before, And it's a big challenge to get people together to participate. But then there are so many rewards because at the level you operate, it's higher than the typical Toastmasters. So I'd like to congratulate you for maintaining this program that you have and for having your goals and objectives as part of the reason why you are actually having your Toastmasters Club. So for today, I would like to thank Freddie for the speech that she gave. It was, to me, it sounded very personal because she's my mentor and she has been such a great mentor for me in improving my abilities and being able to give my speeches. And for all of you, it's really nice to have met new faces. I wish you well. Toastmasters is a great place for people to improve. And I would only say best of luck for each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Jill, you're up.
Well, this has been a real treat. Thank you very much. Freddie, thank you for the invite and sending the information out for this. And thank you to the Order of Smedley for welcoming me. I have been super impressed by everybody's engagement, by your, especially your table topics. I thought it was really fabulous. I really enjoyed that the feedback was given right after the table topic. So you had time to really respond to what was happening and to give it immediate tips and ideas of how to improve something, recognizing where something was really strong and also something that you can work on for improvement. So really, it's been a great treat. I've enjoyed being able to be part of a Toastmasters meeting that is outside my own country and getting to see and meet some interesting people from all around the world. And hopefully down the road, I will come back and visit you again.
Well, we'll be glad to have you back, Jill. And you bring up another point about the Order of Smedley, as I keep plugging our club. The irregular evaluations after a typical speech are also done immediately after the speech. Again, this stretches our evaluators to be on top of things and to give a good speech, i.e. a 3-minute table topic immediately after the speech. They're given a minute to gather their thoughts, but they're on the hot seat pretty quickly. Another thing that our speakers get to do is if they are planning on giving a speech in the public space, when they sign up to give a speech, because our typical meeting is 2 hours, we shorten it for the courtesy of our guests in an open house. But when we have typically someone like Freddie would be giving a 45-minute workshop followed by a couple speeches, or we could have a guest sign up for a 45-minute workshop on a speech where their evaluator stops them mid-speech, makes corrections and tries again, kind of like when you're workshopping a regular speech for a contest. We do that at the club level with the observation of everybody else. So that's fun to watch happen as well, and another benefit that happens in our club. All right, we're going to call on Bruce, then Tapai, then Verlin. So get ready. Bruce, you're up.
In a word, your meeting was fascinating. And I also have to thank Freddie for coming. It is always an honor to hear an accredited speaker speak. The most striking feature about your club is that as I look at each of your faces, I see Zane and Kai, Susan, Parveen, and I noticed that it all seems like you want to be here. And I think that itself is just a lovely quality to have. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We're glad to have you here. Tapai, you're up. Where'd you go? There you are.
Okay, sorry. Well, it's like, thank you for having me. And Freddie, thank you very much for mentoring and to be a good mentor, a good mentee as well. Like this is an opening presentation. Thank you very much. Also, it was a big surprise that after table topic, straight away, giving a feedback. That was a very insightful. And also that requires a lot of skill to observe what's going on precisely. That was a tough job, Kelly. Thank you very much indeed. I was impressed as well for the straight feedback. And then I like you all and the people from all over the world. And now it's like 11:40 at night, but I'm still energetic to like, because all of you make me energetic. Thank you very much. Like Toastmasters, you guys are fantastic.
Awesome, Tapai. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. We get so much enthusiasm when we have folks from your country visit our club. We've had many, many, and you guys always come with so much enthusiasm. You just energize us as well. All right, last up but not least, Berlin Ford Drummond, our permanent guest lately.
Hi guys, it's always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to be here. Let me first apologize for being so tardy. And I just want you guys all to know I blame Parveen for that, because it was very late one night and I saw a text come through. It was really late and I'm blind, clearly you see from the glasses. So I looked at the text and the person asked, can you be a functionary at this contest? And I thought it was Parveen. So right away I said, yeah, sure. Not looking at the time, not looking at when it's gonna be, nothing at all. And then of course it was not Parveen, it was Parvin. So I was at a contest, so I missed Freddie's speech and I'm so mad about that. Because Freddie, I'm also from Canada, and I really wanted to hear my fellow Canuck speak. And then Joseph, I realized you're also from Canada, so I am really bummed, but I am here nonetheless, and it's always a pleasure to be here. I echo Kai's sentiments and Joseph's that the caliber that you guys bring to the table as an advanced Toastmasters club is always, you set the bar high. And it's always a pleasure to join you and love the energy that you guys bring. So I may consider joining again myself. So love to be here as always. Take care.
All right. Well, we only need one more in the next 6 days, 5 days. So maybe that'll be you.
I do have a suggestion though. I think it will be really cool where we put our names to just put what country that we're representing, because I didn't hear where Tapai is from. I just know that it's 11:30 at night there. So that's
from Japan.
He's from Japan. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Wouldn't that be awesome? Like Joseph would say Canada, then that would be, we're representing all over the world. I think that is just phenomenal at a time that we need to be unified rather than diversified. So
yep. And not to put any pressure on our outside Americans, but we, as the officers, we decided that once we have our first international member join, we will change from doing the Pledge of Allegiance to doing a different type of inspirational, unifying message at the beginning of the meeting. So once that happens, we'll be making that change to be more global versus strictly American. So that's something we are looking forward to changing at some point in the time. In the meantime, we're going to stick with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. So Verlin made mention of some things coming up. I guess Parveen's reputation is preceding her as the district's rounder-upper of volunteers for contests. May 2nd is the district's online business meeting. Now, they're really hoping they have good attendance, so every president and VPE needs to attend that. If they do not have the minimum number of guests on the Zoom, they cannot take the vote, and that's what happened at the last business meeting. So hopefully this time around they'll have better attendance. So if you are a VPE or a president from any of your clubs, please make sure in District 48, please make sure you attend the May 2nd. And if your club is in good standing, meaning you have a minimum of 8 members, you get to vote. May 9th is the next Smedley Club meeting. Parveen put our keynote information in the chat box there. It is Matt Kinsey. He'll be talking on Peloton leadership, lessons he learned from the Tour de France. This is his level 5 elective project, Engaging Humor. So I'm assuming it's going to be a very interactive and funny speech. We'll see. Then May 16th, Parveen is leading the District International Speech Contest. So we're going to be excited for that. I know there is another district contest this afternoon that I was workshopping with one of the contestants on. So I'm really rooting that he gets to win that one. We did a lot of work on using the camera angle as a tool in his speech, hoping that nobody else does. So that'll kind of give him an edge to make him interesting. So that I think that's the one that Verlin put a link to. Is that District A? No? So there's two. Then there's two today. So the one for Lynn, you put a link for Lynn to, oh, that's the murder mystery meeting. So that's going to compete with some district contests today. So the Advanced Articulate English Murder Mystery meeting at 1:30 is in the chat box. The link to that, I assume it's free to anybody that attends?
Yes, absolutely free. You just register on Eventbrite, and that's where you get the Zoom information.
Okay,
the
there.
ID and password.
So if you guys want to do
conflicting today, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Yeah, so if you want to do that this afternoon, feel free to do that, or you can go to the District 8 contest and see how that fares out as well. So plenty to do this afternoon. If you want to stay involved with Toastmasters this afternoon, please keep your day going. Otherwise, you guys have a fantastic, yep, that's it. So otherwise, you guys have a fantastic, wonderful rest of your beautiful weekend. Bye-bye.